What if I told you the same mistake that destroyed millions of farmers in 1929 is being planted again right now? And it's not happening on Wall Street. It is happening in the fields, in the same soil that once swallowed generations of hard work and pride. Back then, farmers believed land could never betray them. Today, farmers and the investors buying farmland believe the exact same thing. History has a strange way of whispering before it screams. And if you listen closely, that whisper sounds hauntingly familiar. Across the U.S., farmland prices have hit record highs, up more than 25% in just a few years. In India, Australia, and South America, land has become the new gold. Everyone wants a piece. Banks are lending. Investors are buying. Farmers are expanding. The charts look perfect, and so does the confidence. But the last time the charts looked this perfect, the crash was already underway. In 1928, farmers borrowed heavily to buy more land and machinery, convinced the world would always need more food. Today, in 2026, the belief is identical, that population, demand, and technology will keep pushing profits upward forever. But forever is a dangerous word in finance. Debt has quietly returned to the countryside. Farmers are taking larger loans, betting on record harvests to pay them off. Fertilizer is up, diesel is up, water is uncertain. Climate patterns don't follow predictions anymore. And yet, optimism remains the loudest sound in the room. Everyone thinks they're smarter than history. Everyone thinks this time it's different. But listen closely to the phrases echoing across time. Land never loses value. Food can't go out of demand. We'll make up for it next season. Sound familiar? That is exactly what they said in 1929, right before the soil turned to dust and dreams turned to debt. So the question isn't whether the next crash will come. It's whether anyone will recognize it before it looks exactly like the last one. Because the real danger isn't that history repeats, it's that we keep planting it. Every crash begins with a celebration. And right now, the party is back on the farm. Across America's Midwest, Australia's wheat belt, and India's Punjab plains, land prices are rising faster than yields. Everyone wants a piece of the real economy. After years of inflation and volatile stock markets, farmland has become the new trophy asset. The ultimate hedge, the one thing that will never go out of style. Sound familiar? It should. That's exactly what they said in the late 1920s. It starts innocently. Food prices rise. Governments push for self-sufficiency. Banks roll out smart credit programs for modern agriculture. Suddenly, every farmer becomes an entrepreneur. Fields expand. Tractors double in horsepower. Irrigation systems hum like engines of progress. Brand-new harvesters roll across fields like armored giants paid for with loans that stretch longer than the horizon. And why not? Global demand is strong. Exports are rising. The world, it seems, is hungry again. But there's a difference between demand and dependence. And when easy money meets optimism, numbers start to lie. Between 2020 and 2025, farmland across the U.S. Midwest rose over 30%. Investors, not farmers, bought huge pieces of it. Pension funds, private equity, and tech billionaires started treating soil like software, something to own and optimize. Artificial intelligence forecasts, precision farming apps, and yield prediction models gave everyone the illusion that volatility could be engineered out of existence. But you can't code the weather. You can't program a crop cycle. You can't outcompute nature. And slowly, what started as progress began to look a lot like leverage. Farmers expanded operations with borrowed money machinery loans, fertilizer credit, and land mortgages tied to interest rates that have now doubled. The fields looked richer than ever, but the margins were thinner than ever. It's the same mirage the farmers of 1928 saw. Prosperity built on borrowed soil, because the scariest thing about booms isn't the wealth they create. It's the confidence they create, the kind that makes everyone believe they can't lose. And confidence doesn't just blind you, it binds you. That's the moment the clock starts ticking. The same winds that once carried the Dust Bowl are blowing again, only this time, They sound like optimism. Every boom hides its own blind spot. And for the modern farmer, it isn't greed, it's logic. Because when costs rise, the natural instinct is to grow more. If a bag of fertilizer doubles in price, you plant more acres to cover it. If diesel burns a hole in your wallet, you expand to make it up in volume. The math seems simple. More land, more output, more profit. But that same equation destroyed the farmers of 1929, and it's starting again. Today, global food demand looks unstoppable on paper. But markets don't collapse from low demand. They collapse from too much supply. In 2026, fields across the US, India, and Brazil are producing record harvests. Wheat, corn, soy, all in surplus. Yet prices aren't rising. They're quietly stagnating. Margins are thinning. Storage costs are climbing. And farmers, desperate to survive, are planting even more. It's the same cycle that crushed their great-grandfathers, a trap disguised as productivity. But this time, the numbers are worse. Interest rates are the highest they've been in decades. Fertilizer prices remain volatile. Climate insurance costs have doubled. And the new debt isn't just from banks. It's from fintech lenders and digital loan apps that can repossess machinery with a single tap. The modern farmer has more technology, more data, more prediction tools, and somehow less control than ever before. They don't see the warning signs because everything still looks fine. The harvests are good. The drones are flying. The dashboards are green. But beneath that surface, the same forces are gathering, debt compounding faster than yields, and optimism drowning out every warning light. This is how bubbles feel before they burst. Too quiet, too logical, too justified. And when the storm finally hits, it won't begin with panic. It'll begin with disbelief. The kind of disbelief that says, "How could this happen? We were doing everything right." That's the most dangerous sentence in finance. And it's always spoken right before history repeats. Crashes don't start with thunder. They start with silence. At first, it's just whispers. A few missed payments, a few late deliveries, a few farmers quietly refinancing loans they swore they'd never touch again. Then comes the drought, or the flood, or both, depending on where you stand. And suddenly the math that looked fine in January makes no sense by July. In 1929, the wind carried dust. In 2026, it carries numbers, red ones. Interest rates are rising. Crop prices are sliding. Fertilizer costs have refused to come down, but output prices keep shrinking. And the global food surplus, once celebrated as strength, is now suffocating the very people who created it. In the American Midwest, lenders have begun tightening credit. In India, cooperative banks are freezing new In Brazil, small farms are being bought by larger ones just to stay alive. And beneath the spreadsheets, one quiet truth echoes. The soil may have changed. The story hasn't. For many farmers, the illusion breaks the moment they open the letter, the one stamped payment overdue. The tractor that once symbolized pride is repossessed. The land that fed families for generations is listed for sale. And the same investors who preach the glory of owning real assets are the first to disappear when those assets stop yielding returns. It's a modern dust bowl, not made of sand, but of spreadsheets, a storm of debt, interest, and overproduction. And when it hits, no app, no drone, no algorithm can save them. Governments will call it a market correction. Economists will call it price normalization. But for the farmer, it will feel exactly like it did in 1930. A slow, silent collapse that begins not in the fields, but in the faith. Because faith, once again, was the crop that failed first. And by the time the world notices, the harvest will already be gone. When history repeats, it never copies. It rhymes. In 1929, the farmer's mistake was faith in the soil. In 2026, it's faith in the system. Back then, they believed hard work could outgrow debt. Today, they believe technology can outsmart risk. But the outcome, heartbreak, remains exactly the same. Because the problem was never the land. It was the illusion of safety. Every generation invents a new reason to believe they're immune to collapse. In 1929, it was land. In 2008, it was real estate. And in 2026, it's smart agriculture, AI forecasts, predictive weather models, and digital crop futures. But no algorithm can calculate human emotion or human denial. Farmers today aren't careless. They're confident. They're told to scale, expand, automate. That, more data, means more security. But numbers don't guarantee stability. They only measure it until they don't. And when the illusion cracks, it always cracks fast. One missed harvest becomes two. One late payment becomes foreclosure. And just like that, another generation learns the same truth their ancestors buried in the dust nearly a century ago. You don't own the land. The debt does. The lesson isn't about farming. It's about finance. It's about how optimism blinds discipline, how safe assets become dangerous when everyone believes they're safe, and how the greatest risk is always the one that doesn't look like one. When the crash comes, and it will, people will say, no one could have seen it coming. But history saw it coming. It's been screaming the same warning since 1929. We just stopped listening. The farmer's story is not a tragedy of soil. It's a warning about human nature, our refusal to believe that tomorrow can betray us. So when you see farmland prices rise again, when everyone calls it the new gold, remember this: gold doesn't feed you, land doesn't save you, and debt doesn't forgive you, because the past doesn't die. It just waits for us to repeat it.